Welcome to Epic Elite House of Rusted Blades in Shinderlearn, level 25. I want to emphasize that this is the learning phase of this series for me because, like I said last time, I haven't done Warlock and Epics. I'm going to first start off with some gearing changes from last video. I do have the Epic Elite Ghost Waking Cloak that has DR 15/evil. Very nice. Charisma 8, also nice for Warlock. Resistance and Ghostly. The Epic Blasting Chime is the same, and just have Charisma 6 and Kinetic Lore 5 still, because I just didn't bother putting anything better. The Kinetic Lore has helped me. Obviously, Charisma is redundant. Conop Helmet and Conjuration Focus performing 13. Conjuration helping the Tentacles spell, and perform a helping Sonic spell power. I've got, this is also new for level 25, the Flawless Blue Dragon Plate Armor. This is fully upgraded. This has 2 upgrades from the base item to get all the way up to Spell Lore 9% Universal Spell Critical Chance. I don't have that slotted up with anything. I haven't really spent time trying to maximize or optimize my gearing, but I just didn't really have anything I felt like I wanted to put in there, into that slot. Braces of Wind, so I'm getting a little bit of dodge and blur off of this. And Health 6, Ring of False Life 40. Again, just like last video, I didn't have anything better to put there. I have a better Health 9, Con 9 ring to put in their next level. And the Orcish Privateer Boots is the same. Iron Mitts is the same. Epic Ring of the Buccaneer is the same. Probably should just slot Good Luck +2 like on the armor or something, and slot Dex somewhere, because I don't need the Sapphire Defense anymore. That is on the shield, which I'll show you in a minute. But I just didn't have anything else I wanted to put here. Min2 Belt. The Skybelt Shield is a nice addition for this level. This is the Epic Elite version. It has 3 slots. I've got it slotted up with Natural Armor 6, Impulse 114, and Sapphire Defense 14. Between this and the Flawless Blue Armor, I've seen a noticeable difference in the durability from last level, which I'm really happy about. I felt a little squishy before, so as I expected, this has made a big improvement. I'm going to talk about that more in a little bit. And the Thunderforged Scimitar is the same. Got it slotted up with Radiance 114. I played around with the enhancements a little bit, and it took some points out of here. I got rid of the brutal spellcasting. That is not necessary if I'm going to be an Unyielding Sentinel, because I have a 150% threat at all times with my spells here. So the brutal spellcasting is just taking the threat from the spells over the top. It is just not needed if you're going to be using that in Unyielding Sentinel. I also got rid of the Heal Lamp. I really like the Heal Lamp, but I needed to pull something away to spend some extra spells here. I did spend enough points to work up to Greater Heroism in my spellbook, Tier 5 and 8. I don't like the -25 hit points, but the +10 Depravity is actually helpful when I'm fighting big bosses and I really need to use a lot of the Depravity counters to activate not only my spell power boost, but most importantly the Stanch, which gives me the temporary hit points. So it's nice to have that extra bank of Depravity. And being able to cast Greater Heroism is really nice too. So the extra points I spent here, I wanted to go for, I don't use this Confusion, but it was a prereq for the Bewitching Blast, which has a 10% chance to confuse non-boss monsters for 6 seconds from my bursts. I wanted to play with this because I wanted to add a little bit of crowd control into it. This tune is not as durable as I would like, and right now I'm comparing it to like how Ginger would perform. Ginger Spice would perform at this level. Ginger Spice has the ability to, surround herself with a ton of mobs and survive. In the worst of scenarios, Red Dungeon Alert, 20 mobs around you, all beating on you. And this tune doesn't have that. And, for me, I see that as a problem. for most people, that's, they're not trying to design a toon so that you can survive Red Dungeon Alert and have a bunch of mobs around you. But I like to be able to have a toon, and I wanted to be able to have this toon survive in those kinds of worst case scenario situations. So, if I have a bunch of mobs beating on me, it's a bit of a problem. I know what you're thinking. Well, why don't you get displacement? Well, I know that's a very popular option, but I really don't like the idea of having to throw a buff on myself every couple of minutes. That that sort of temporary buff or clicky playstyle. I don't like having to do that. I don't want to rely on that. I really want to be able to rely on stuff that I have on all the time. That, of course, it doesn't mean I'm not going to use temporary buffs, but I don't want to have to rely on that. For better or for worse. Maybe I'll get it someday, but for now I'm going to continue to try to build without that. I chose this quest because I'm going to do the optional, and the matron mother, I think it is, or in any event, the optional boss is the hardest hitting boss I can think of, or the hardest hitting mob I can think of at this level. And I've already done this quest several times. And one of the other frustrating things for me, in addition to not being as durable as I would like, is that I'm failing saves. I'm getting poisoned by these drow, and they're paralyzing me with that. That's really frustrating. I'm getting petrified by like Jack Gibbers and some other mobs. That's really frustrating. So I'm not really sure what to do with that right now. Maybe it means I should go over to the Great Old One pack, and that pack has fortitude saves. Maybe that would be a better choice. I talked about that at the beginning of the series, that maybe that would be a more optimum choice for a tank. I'm also a little frustrated in that, let's say I have, like in the end fight here, I'm going to have a bunch of mobs surrounding me, but then I'm going to have a bunch of archers all around me, that are not within burst range. And I don't have a way to pluck those guys out. And it's not going to be convenient for me to just run over there. Plus archers have a tendency to walk away from you when you get close to them. So, if it was Ginger Spice, I would just use Greater Creeping Cold if archers were an issue. But I don't have anything on this toon, so it kind of makes me want to go like Fiend Pack and get like, Hurl Through Hell. So, I think that would be nice to have that ability to pluck those guys out. So these guys are gonna, at first they hit me pretty hard. And it's not until I get these Blade Masters under control that things are a little more that I can deal with things a little better. Like they just paralyzed me right there, and that can be a little bit scary. So even though when I have a bunch of mobs hitting me, the performance isn't where I would like it to be, I will say that just going one-on-one with like this chick right here, it's a little bit better than like on Ginger, especially at this level, because these temporary hit points that are ticking every 2 seconds with my aura are pretty much taking care of the healing that I need, which is pretty awesome. I saw, I was looking at the Warlock forums since my last video, and I saw somebody else has a build posted of Enlightened Spirit Tank, and I wasn't sure if people were going to go that direction or not. So this is, by the time I post, like my build there, my companion thread, it looks like it's not going to be anything new or anything interesting. And that other person is achieving spell power far beyond, I think, what I'll be able to achieve. I don't even know how people are getting up to the numbers that they're boasting these days. I really don't. People are boasting like 700-800 spell power. Like that's just beyond. I don't even get it. And I do. There's so much inflation in the way that people are reporting their numbers. I mean, I think it's a little ridiculous. Everybody wants to post the biggest and best number, and so people are like, you know, some people are like factoring in maximize and empower. You know, maximize increases your spell power by 150 and empower by 75, and even though that doesn't show up in your character sheet, you know, here they're sort of adding it in when they're saying, oh, I've got 900 spell power. So I'm aware of, like, you know, that, and you know, when I post my numbers, I'm not including that. And I know that a lot of people are also including like temporary buffs. You know, when they're boasting numbers like 600 and 700, you know, the potions and things, and I'm not gonna, you know, I don't, like on Ginger Spice, you know, she's got 395 cold spell power, and that's just standing without any extra buffs. You know, that's no pots. It's not factoring in empower and maximize, and that's the way I'm going to be listing the spell powers for this tune. So you can see, I mean, this, if you've done this quest before and you've done this optional, you know that you've seen countless times probably people pretty much one-shotted by her. I mean, she's a pretty hard-hitting boss. You know, I'm only level 25. I'm not rocking endgame armor or anything like that. So I do think it's pretty cool that I can stand toe-to-toe with her, and it's not really an issue. I have done a video on this quest before, I think on Ginger, or maybe it was Azalea. But if this quest isn't a part of your daily routine, it should be, because there's a really nice item, the Seal of House Dunderbar, that can come. Hey, there's one right there. What did I get? Strength 7, Shatter 10. Not a very desirable combination. It comes in a lot of different combinations, but when you get like Stunning 10 and like Insightful Con 2, you know, those can sell on the Shard Exchange quite well. One of the things I'm finding that I'm having to do is, you know, like one of the times I did this, I said I did it several times already, and I died one time in the final fight, and so, you know, I opened this door ahead of time just in case, because I can always hit my gibbers and run back to the shrine. And I died because, you know, they stunned me and then just totally overwhelmed me. So not only is it a good daily farm for some quick XP, but also, you know, you get a chance at getting a very valuable item that you can sell. I know it's a very popular option to just go hide in the corner, and you can do that if you want. I like to fight at the chest because I want to test the durability of my tunes, and because I want the chest. Because this is the only place in the game to get drow weapons, and they're very nice weapons for the level. I think they're level 21. So like I'm gonna have all these archers around me, and I'm gonna have, you know, these mages. And I don't really have a good way to take them out other than to run over there. So if I had hurl through L or something, I could just, you know, take the mage right out, take the archers right out. It has a 15-second cooldown, I think, so it's not like I can just rapid fire it, but, you know, while I'm working on the boss, it would be nice to just pluck them out one by one. So I haven't had to use stance yet. And I'm holding up quite well. But, you know, I haven't gotten stunned yet. And had I gotten stunned right away by all those mobs, then, you know, they could have, you know, done some serious damage to me. Now, I do have a long way to go between here and endgame. So, you know, I'm really hoping to see some performance increase when I get my endgame gear on. But we'll see. Now I gotta run out here and take all these guys out, and then by doing that, I'm just gonna end up aggroing more mobs. Alright. Can I get a drow weapon and a seal in the same run? Nope. Well, thanks for watching. If you have any questions about my videos, you can respond on YouTube. If you have questions about the build that I'm doing, you can respond on the companion thread in the Warlock forum. And if you happen to be on Saralona, you are welcome to send me a tell.